I know.
This is fair.
It should be clear.
Do you have anyone signed up? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Are we ready? Hi. Good. Hello back there. Good evening, everyone. I call the Tuesday, October 1st, 2024 Peninsula School District Board of Directors meeting to order. All board directors are present. Please note that this is a regular scheduled meeting. It is held to conduct district business. It is open to the public and is being recorded. I also want to note that the board recessed for a work session that began at 4:30 to collaborate with PSD administration on preparations for the upcoming presentation at the WASDA Annual Conference in Spokane this November. That session lasted approximately 60 minutes and no official action was taken. Will you please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Any discussion on the agenda prior to the vote? Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll motion to approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved by Chuck and seconded by Lori to approve the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. The agenda is approved. For our report this evening, we have Patrick Gillespie, our Director of Facilities and Capital Projects. He's going to give us a facilities update. Thanks, Patrick.
Perfect. Thank you for having me here today. So the first thing I want to talk about is safety and security from our SS&T levy, some of the dollars that went towards that. So one of the ones, last time when I met with this group, did a presentation, the Gig Harbor fencing was done. As one of the student board members said, magically appeared. Peninsula High School is the picture on the bottom there. That was done starting mid-June, finished up a little bit after the kids left and was ready for the first day of school. So both fencing projects at both high schools are now completed. We also did the Gig Harbor tennis court resurfacing, and you can kind of see that's just, these pictures just show a little bit of how bad it was with the cracks and everything that were there at the high school courts. And you'll see in the next slide right here, the extensive work they did to clean some of those up, flatten it out, and then resurface it. It's a little hard to see how nice it looks with the rain on it, but it was raining in the morning. I took that picture. One of the other things that we did this summer was the Harbor Heights portable removals. Removed those 2 portables to really, one, they were part of our 2019 bond to get rid of portables. So one, we're really happy to be doing that finally as part of that bond process. But 2, it also allows us to add a playground area that we're going to have, we're looking to do more of an inclusive type playground. And you can see the rubber in the upper right-hand corner starting to go in yesterday. Should be done hopefully today. If not, they'll wrap it up tomorrow. You can kind of see in the lower right, you can get a better view going out. And the asphalt area in the lower right, we'd have more ground-based play toys in the future is the goal. What I did want people to understand is that these playgrounds with the rubber isn't just putting the rubber down. You see in the upper left, all the trenches and work we had to do to put connect storm below the rubber so it will drain the water out and not just become a giant pool. However, that one might actually hold water. Sorry. And then, of course, you see, we'll get to that in a little bit. Some good news on that. Bottom left, you can see the contractors, they kind of demoed the first of the 2 portables there. Okay.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Do you know how old those portables were?
Off the top of my head, no, but I want to say probably around 2005-ish.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
A portable, 20 years old.
Yes. I'm not going
Let's
to
just let
say
that
that's
sink in.
exactly accurate, but I kind of want to say it's somewhere.
I think it's
in that
somewhere, yeah.
range.
Yeah, based on a lot. Anyway,
Yeah.
thank you.
Sure. I know we definitely have some that age in the district. Sorry. No problem. Eagle Quest. Okay, so We still got to slide up sideways, so sorry about that. Really great program that we're really excited to, next slide, goes. We were able to take 2 classrooms, actually one kind of old preschool turned it into a classroom, and then 2 smaller areas turned it into another class you see on the upper right. 2 amazing teachers down there. I've got to know a little bit towards the end when they were setting up, and they did a great job in a short amount of time, Amy and Angelique. Both of them. I hope I got the names right there. But one of the things we used SS&T dollars for were the doors to the outside. We didn't really have in our normal budget the money for those kind of things, but we're able to use those SS&T dollars, and what those doors do is allow that program, which is really an outdoor-based program, accessibility to the outdoors without having to go out towards the parking lot and then in through a fence. And so it's a lot safer environment. So we were able to add those into that project, and I'm really excited to be able to do that, and I believe it's working out really well from what I heard. We've also worked hard this summer reconfiguring parts of the ESC, which is an important part of our district, to make sure everything's running effectively, from the top down. And that was adding some walls where we didn't have them, removing some walls where we did have them, and then reconfiguring some of the cubicles up there. We had a combination of contractor and some of our maintenance staff doing that, so that was something we got through this summer. Donations, really excited. We had some donations. I kind of reported last time with a stock picture that wasn't that exciting last time. From our PTA over at Minute Creek was very generous and donated a Gaga ball pit. And the parallel bars there just went in last Thursday. That picture is from then. Our ground staff will move the borders around, put play chips in, and get that open. If it's not already done, very shortly. Hopefully by next week if it's not done now. Risk pool claims. So when we talked last time, we were talking about the water damage at Goodman. We had, flood cut throughout a section of the building, getting that open. Then next slide. You can see it's all back together, dried out, went way extra mile to make sure everything was taken care of, dried out properly. All the proper companies came in to clean it and make sure it was all good. And we were able to parlay that into taking a negative into a positive. You can see the brand new carpet in our band room, brand new carpet throughout our library. And so I think it looks really good, and I'm really excited that we were able to turn that negative into something positive for that school. It was a burst pipe in a bathroom on the back side of the band where there's kind of some practice rooms, instrument storage. So we've working on protocols to just keep that bathroom door open if it's cold outside, and try to make sure something like that doesn't happen again. We're not exactly sure why this year it decided to do it. It wasn't like we were without power. We haven't had this problem in the past, so it was just its day to burst. If you go back one slide for me. So we were, school ended on Friday. We came back to Monday at Minute Creek Kitchen. I felt like we just didn't have enough to do over the summer, so we had a flood in the kitchen there. There was a vinyl tubing pipe that the sink was left on, and it burst. And it just was like a garden hose whipping all over, so it took out ceiling tiles, the walls, the cabinets, the floor. Next slide. So we scrambled. We took everything out of there. We put new flooring in. We were able to put FRP on the walls so we get a better cleaning surface, a better floor. We did repurpose the cabinets from our portables from Harbor Heights. And we're using that money to get what the kitchen staff really wanted, was stainless steel tables with drawers in it, which are being ordered. So when you see the plastic tables, that is temporary, just because of lead time. So when we're done with this, again, taking a negative, trying to make it better for the school, turn it into something where we're getting a little better end product. Again, not dying to keep doing this, but if we're gonna have an issue of trying to make it better. Okay. Something else we took on this summer too is painting the gym at Peninsula High School. And we did the wainscoting down below where you see kind of that medium colored gray there. I think it turned out pretty well. And one of the things that you don't see in this picture, I know Daniel O'Leary's working really hard on at PHS, is new wall pads for both ends underneath the baskets, which will have a PHS graphic. I think one is just going to be a P and the other is going to be of the Purdy Spit with a Seahawk, I believe, on it. But that's in the works, and hopefully those will be arriving at some point soon, and we'll be putting those up to kind of finishing that piece of the puzzle. Pool, we kind of mentioned that a little earlier. So I put this picture up for a little bit of a reason. It's kind of hard to see, but you can kind of see a line right here and the water there. This is what started off the whole pool thing. That's 8 hours of sitting. The pool drained that far in 8 hours. So just to kind of put a little bit in perspective of what we were dealing with and why we're going through what we're going through. Okay, so the fun part about this is we did find a contractor that was able to take this on. Upper left are drawings from 1971 that pretty accurate, help us see some really interesting things, so helping us through it. Lower left, really cool, last week they did the ground penetrating radar to find our pipes, some of which were 10 feet underground, which is where he's at right there. You see our contractor show up yesterday with the excavator there and start digging a hole, found the pipe. I can't tell you that we know exactly where the leak was, but what I will tell you is we have a plan where we're lining the pipe, we're replacing the T's that are in there that go to things that were abandoned, and putting in as much new pipe as we can and lining everything else. And then, of course, the bottom of the pool had to be open for part of the process as well, so you'll have all new pipe underneath. And we're working on getting that taken care of. So contractor in this week, next week, and we'll see how things go. But right now we're looking pretty good, and I'm excited that we've finally are at a point where we're quite literally breaking ground to get this moving forward and get it fixed. So we can get really important our student athletes and our students and community back in that pool. Okay, so over the summer, I always show you the highlights of the things that are really cool and stuff. I just want to show us a little bit. One, we have a lot of great staff, whether it's our custodians in the building working hard to get the buildings clean, our maintenance staff doing different projects throughout the summer. This is kind of, and we don't need to go through it, but this is kind of what we live by in the summer is this spreadsheet. Everything on here is stuff that needs to get done. It is school by school, it's different vendors. We have dates on there that are important for compliance issues. It all goes into this. It lives with me all summer. If I go one day away, it is with me because this is everything that's going on. But I just wanted to show it to show that we do more than what I'm just showing. There's a lot more happening in those short weeks over the summer.
This is unbelievable. I'm wondering, can we get this?
Yeah, I can get you a copy of it. Yeah, and again, it's still just a fraction of, of what we do. These are the things that we need to track and keep our eye on, make sure we're getting all those things. One of the things my guys wanted to do is we had some issues with some lights getting broke in the pool this last year. And we had fluorescent tubes. We wanted to go to LED. So my guys took this project on and replaced all but 3 lights over the deepest part of the pool. You see we had a articulating lift. We tried everything to get to it. Just from the way the pool slopes in and everything, we just couldn't get to them. So we'll try to get creative and find another lift at some point to get in there, get those 3 lights. But if you go in, you'll see kind of what's on the right with nice new bright lights that hopefully we won't have to replace the bulbs in and go through this process again for a long time, except for those 3 that we really tried very hard to get to. Some other things we took on is you can see how great that light pole looks at Harbor Height on the far left. Our guys took it on. We tried one method and we thought it was going to go pretty quick and wound up being a 3-step process. So we got most of them done. We will come back and finish those up when the weather gets better and we rent a lift in the, down the road in the future. But the ones that are done look really good and kind of pop. We got all the ones in the front. Now we got to do the back of the building. So we'll finish that up as we get into springtime. Another thing we were doing this summer was working on the property purchase that we've brought to the board before. So we're pushing forward with the due diligence and working through a lot of stuff on that. So just a reminder that we are still continually to work on that. Capital projects going on there, kind of some of it's slowing down, you know. Really, we're keeping this as kind of our last project we're trying to get wrapped up. We're really doing punch list stuff right now, kind of getting our commissioning going with all of our HVAC equipment's going to be starting here pretty soon, getting the lights programmed and dialed in, and trying to get that project to the finish line and completed. But right now, if you go out there, contractor doing stuff or working at night, or it's computer programming. So as far as the students, you probably not seeing the construction like they have the last few years. And then we did have our long range facilities advisory board meeting last night. Well attended, but I think some people wanted to see a football game. So I look forward to those people being at the next one, but I did see a lot of people in this room there, so I appreciate all the people that were in this room at that meeting last night, and I think it went really well, and I'm excited about how that went. Questions?
I got a couple.
Sure.
One is the Harbor Height light poles, since those are in a parking lot, are you able to use SST funds for that, or you just use your capital?
The light poles at Harbor Heights, we just use our maintenance budget, the daily maintenance budget. So I'm constantly working through and watching that. I would have a hard time saying that's safety, security, and technology unless we were doing a whole lighting upgrade to make it brighter or something like that in the parking lot. So those are just really my guys, quick sand, primer, couple coats of paint.
Yeah. Are you able to make your own decisions using SST funds without having to go through our new long-range facility advisory board?
Yeah, the long-range facility advisory board isn't dealing with SS&T dollars.
Okay.
So what I would say is that much like all of our dollars, there's a plan more than just me saying, here's what we want to do. So I work with Ashley and Chris on what those things look like to make sure that we're working together to spend them appropriately and that we're on the same page. So it's really a collective effort, but it's not through the facilities advisory board.
Okay. That was sort of my real question was, is there a plan how we're going to use it and looking long range for the SST money? And then the property purchase, you just really quickly went over that. Well, what's the status on that? If I might have missed it, you went so fast by it, but where are we at on the status of the property purchase?
We're doing our due diligence and working through all that right now. We are working with the county on a few things to make sure when we buy it that we have the right designations so we can use it, which will speed up our timeline a little bit because they're very much willing to work with us and help us on that. So those are all behind the scenes things we're working really hard on. Of course, then we also, as we're pushing it up faster, it seems to be a theme in my department, we go faster, which is always good. We just get it done quicker. So hopefully before we get to December, we'll have that closed and move forward. But there's a lot of things that are happening there, so I don't want to tell you it's going to happen that way, but we're working through each little thing as it comes up and issues and resolving them, and hopefully I'll have a better update for you in a few weeks. I could share to Creston, she could share back out to you. But we're definitely getting through that and looking like we'll be moving into before December closing.
Okay. Good.
If all goes the way we're tracking at the moment.
I commend you on your great work on all those fires you had to put out, so nice job.
So, quick question. Besides an obvious emergent need like no water in the pool or a flooded kitchen, how does something get on the summer to-do list?
So there are a whole bunch of things, right? So we have principals that talk to us, different level, Creston will have things, Ashley will have things, Chris and I might talk about things, everybody kind of comes to me and says, here's what we want to do. And then we have to prioritize them, right, and kind of rack and stack them. Some of the things on there are compliance issues, like having our fire alarms tested every year. So you're going to see that like on almost every school, but we need to know what school was done, what days to make sure that we're hitting all those schools. So some of them compliance have to be on there. Once we look at that, we kind of go, what are our biggest needs? And then how many dollars do we have? And we just kind of keep going until we run out of dollars. And then when we run out, we see if we can figure out how to save more, do more projects. One of the things that happens is our budgets are pretty tight throughout the district. So we've been tasked with making sure that we're controlling them really well, which is important to me in the district. So as we get to August, we're really scouring for, were we able to save, right? Like, did we, did something come up, we spent more, and we were able to pop in a few more projects, like doing the lights in the pool, right? We weren't really sure if we were gonna get to it, but we got to that. The light poles at, Harbor Heights, thank you. We also got some sign work done at Harbor Ridge. All these things have been in, like, they're kind of there and kind of a secondary, like we want them to get done. But we're not sure if we have the money as soon as they do to get bumped up in there. But we start working on this, and realistically start, like, thought process starting now. By January, I'm starting to dial it in. We're not the biggest district, so getting some contractors that we use, getting them on board by, February, March is really important, so that we're locking them up early in the summer to try and get that work done, so we're not, like, eking it out right before kids get back. So there's a lot of planning that goes into that, basically starting now, ramping up in January, and by the time we get to spring break, it's like, things have got to start getting dialed in, POs getting out, getting those lined up, and then there's always last minute things that come in right before school gets out. It's like, oh, we want to do this, and that'll jump up on there. So it's kind of a whole bunch of different ways it winds up on there, and not everything can wind up on that list. So there are things that we want to do that'll wind up on that list next year that just didn't make it this year.
Okay. So we just did 4 new elementary schools. We redid 2 middle schools. And I'm hoping that took a little bit of a load off your maintenance type budget, because those schools are pretty new, so. What's the next major school or project that you see that we've got to be looking at? I know Peninsula High School, I've heard that. Goodman?
So,
Yeah.
if we're talking about, like, remodels or major modernizations or new and lieu, is that what you're talking about? Or?
Yeah, kind of, what is your next, are there any roofs failing? Are we got HVAC systems failing?
So I'll take pieces of that, right? So the first piece is, if we're talking about building, like, major modernizations or rebuild, that's what we're talking about in the long-range facility advisory board.
Right.
And that's something that, as we go through that, we'll be looking forward to coming to the board and saying, hey, this is what came out of that committee.
Right.
This is the thought process around that. Bigger projects out there, yeah, there's a couple of roof here and there. Good news is we've come up with a plan where, although we may not do a whole roof, if you look at, like, Gig Harbors, if I put a aerial view, you'll see, this roof's done, and that, like, maybe the 200s roof is done, and the where the Commons roof is done, but maybe the Ox Gym is not done, because that's where we had major leaks. And so we can't do it all. I've got a little bit of Gig Harbor, a little bit of Peninsula, a little bit of Goodman, so you do kind of sections. Not my favorite way to do it, but it's what went from when I started to the phones lighting up like a Christmas tree when it rained, to buckets everywhere, to maybe one to, for the most part, we don't, but we do have a couple. I know the mat room at Peninsula decided to have a problem. We've done repairs on it. It should hold, but that's one that we might need to look at down the road. We have the roof at the stadium. HVAC, well, you could pretty much take a dart and throw that at any of the older schools. Peninsula HVAC units are 1993, most of them up there. Gig Harbors aren't much, they're a little bit newer, but not much better. You got Manor Creek, you got Discovery. Just those right off the top of my head are some of my HVAC problems that we're always, trying to do a lot of work on. I got 2 really good guys right now who have really been out there fixing problems, and not just band-aiding them, but trying to get them resolved and fix them, so they don't have to come back to them. So I'm really appreciative of those 2 that have been really working hard out there. But yeah, there's still a lot of stuff out there.
Okay, that's, I wanted to know what was forecast.
Yeah, we're definitely better.
Yeah.
And we're definitely able to focus the maintenance dollars I get from that budget into the schools that were not part of the bond. And it is definitely making an impact, though.
Good.
Are you tracking that on the facilities metric?
Not exactly. Thank you.
Inside joke.
I know, I appreciate it.
One more question. If just curious about the process. Let's say I teach in this building and a couple of the lights in my room are not working.
Right.
What is the process? Do I tell the principal what is the process for getting anything looked at or repaired?
So in this building.
A smaller, I guess, type item.
Yeah, so generally you would, the teacher could either tell the head custodian who could do a work order or tell the office manager. They can tell the principal, of course, but it's like if they tell an office manager or head custodian, they can put a work order in. If there's something that's a little bit more serious, let's say the lights aren't working in the room at all, right? That's kind of an important thing. Office manager, head custodian can call directly and we'll, divert people to that right away. Because, work order systems are great, but if it gets lost in the shuffle, so they have the ability to call us, and they do when there's a big problem, say, hey, we got to do it. And then these buildings, if there's a light switch issue, it's not like the good old days, we just replace the light switch. We have to take it out, program the new switch, put it in. You have to have a dongle, plug it in. You have to have an app on your phone. So those are all things our guys are learning as we built these new schools, and they're taking that on, that challenge. And so if we had a problem in one of these newer ones, it might take us a little bit longer than one of our older schools because older schools pretty much been doing that for years. New ones, we put a lot of new stuff in it, and my guys are doing a great job learning it and trying to keep up with those things. Mm-hmm.
Just a quick comment about the Facilities Advisory Board that met yesterday. So I know it wasn't the first time meeting. Lori and I both attended yesterday, but for everyone to know, I appreciate your approach because I think a lot of people who signed up to be on this committee came in with an idea of what they would like to see, whether it is new lights at Harbor Heights or a new pool or whatever. But I appreciate that you started with a very big picture about the schools that we have, their ages, the scoring of the status of whatever different additions that we've done over the years. And then Patrick also went in to talk about capacity and future capacity. So I think the slate was wiped clear about what any kind of preconceived ideas were about what this committee is for. And it's really big picture and truly long-range planning. So great job yesterday because I think there were some really good conversations about how we can look at this as almost as a mathematical problem. I mean, Jennifer will always say this, it's not an emotional argument. It is what makes sense and what's in the best interest of students, staff, community, but also taxpayers. So I'm excited to see what comes out of this committee. And I think next steps, they're going to be touring a facility. So
Yes, we put that, we're going to be going through Peninsula. I think the date is October 28th, for those of you who be there. We kind of looked at that date. It's the last Monday of every month. So as we get into November, that starts going to be Thanksgiving. So we'll talk at that meeting about whether we move it up or push it. We might want to move one up because we'll walk through, after that meeting, we'll walk through Peninsula. I think we want to walk through Gig Harbor and talk with the principals and talk about, not only the behind the scenes stuff that I see, but have the principals talking about how these buildings are affecting kids' learning, whether it's a good way, bad way, kind of what works, what doesn't, kind of hearing that. And so coming out of that meeting was really good as it allowed us to kind of move in one direction and start looking at things that they wanted to. And so that's why we're going to go to those schools. So
yeah,
pretty excited about
great.
that.
Thanks for doing that. Appreciate it.
Mhm.
Okay. Comments, questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, item 5 on our agenda is comments from the community on agenda items. As you know, we are now offering 2 distinct comment periods. This first one will be for those who wish to speak on items that are on our agenda before we take action. And for those who are wishing to speak on items that are not on the agenda, there will be a comment period provided later in the meeting. So we have 2 people signed up to speak this evening on agenda items, so I'll call your name. Again, you're not new to this process, so you'll have 3 minutes. And anything that is not accomplished in that time, you can always email as well. So first up, we have Carol Rivera.
Carol Rivera, Peninsula Education Association President. I actually want to discuss two of the items on under number 7.2, which is a service animal policy. I will just say that reading through that, I was appreciative that there is one central contact that all principals would need to consult with. In the past, it has been a building by building discussion, and so by having a central contact person that is really allows for equitable assessment of the situation, consistency, and having a dedicated process. So thank you for that. The second one that I do want to discuss is the school board policy 5254. 1 week ago, I was here and asked respectfully that that had been tabled until further conversation could be had with stakeholders. And to this date, that hasn't occurred in the capacity that we wanted to discuss it and the impacts of this policy on staff expression. I think the name of the policy itself leads some to believe that there is intention to prevent people from being able to express themselves. The examples that were given also draw that line about being a parent or a community member and being able to express and have their freedom of speech. And so I understand that there are nuances and other pieces, but I think that we do need to owe it to the staff in our district to wait and have further conversation. I do want to also just explain and just call out that there were students also here that were here talking about some things that had happened in our online harassment and things that are put out there outside of an educator's control. And I think that it's just unfortunate timing that this policy was up for consideration. If we could take some time, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Christy Wahala.
Christy Wahala. Good evening, you guys. I am here to address the proposed policy 5254 staff expression as well. A document that, while well-intentioned, is alarmingly vague and poses significant risks to our educators and ultimately our students. The policy states that the district seeks to balance employees' First Amendment rights with its interest in maintaining an orderly work environment. However, the language used is so ambiguous that it could lead to arbitrary interpretations and potential misuse. For instance, phrases like adverse impact on district operations or interferes with district operations lack clear definitions. This vagueness opens the door for disciplinary actions that could silence staff members simply for expressing dissenting views or for discussing matters of public concern. Moreover, the emphasis on regulating expression, especially in contexts such as social media, raises serious concerns. Encouraging staff to remember that community may conflate their personal views with their professional roles is not only unrealistic, but also discouraging. It risks creating a chilling effect where teachers feel that they cannot engage in meaningful discourse or advocate for their beliefs without fear of reprisal. It will cause our educators to live their personal lives in fear of discipline from their employer, even if their work record may be exemplary and their positive impact on youth far-reaching. This is no way to live. Consider the implications for classroom environments. A teacher's ability to engage students in critical thinking or to address current events could be stifled by the threat of disciplinary action for speaking out. This is not just about protecting the district, it's about nurturing a culture of open dialogue and intellectual freedom. As we seek to cultivate a diverse and inclusive educational environment, we must ensure that our policies reflect our values. I urge the board to reconsider this proposed policy to clarify its term as has been asked and to ensure that it's truly protecting our staff's rights while fostering a healthy and open educational atmosphere. Thank you.
Thank you. And that is all we have signed up for comments on agenda items this evening, so we will move on to the consent agenda. Is there any discussion prior to the vote? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved by David and seconded by Jennifer to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. The agenda has been approved. Item 7 on our agenda this evening is our discussion and action items. We have 2 policies up for second read, which would effectively be an adoption if those are approved, and four policies here for first read, which, as you know, we're not taking action on them. We're just having them up for review.
I would like to make a motion to table 7.1 and 7.2 until they can be reviewed.
Okay, is there any discussion about that? Or I think typically we have a couple of weeks in between. This time we have 1 week, and I know that your staff likes to look at a corresponding procedure, and so that's something that you have complete control over and input from your staff, so I would not be opposed to that.
Does it need a second?
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay, let's do them one at a time. So can we start over a motion to table the first one, and then if you choose the second
Yeah,
one?
I'll make a motion to table 7.1, the approval, second reading of policy 5254.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved by Chuck and seconded by Lori to table a vote on the second read of policy 5254. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that item 7.1, the approval of the second reading of policy 5254 has been tabled. All right, so moving on to 7.2, this is the approval of the second reading of policy 2030, service animals in schools.
Okay. I'd like to table that one also.
Can you say motion, make a move?
I'd like to make a motion to table 7.2, approval of the second reading of the policy 2030, service animals in schools.
I'll second.
Just give them more time to review.
Okay. It has been moved by Chuck and seconded by Jennifer to table the vote on the second reading of policy 2030, service animals in schools. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the second read of policy 2030, service animals in schools, has been tabled. Okay, item 7.3 is the first read of policy 2410, high school graduation requirements. Item 7.4 is a review of the first read of policy 2255, alternative learning experience courses. 7.5 is review of first read of policy 2336, required observances, Veterans Day, Constitution Day, Temperance and Good Citizenship Day, and Disability History Month. And then item 7.6 is the review of first read of policy 3230, searches of student and student privacy. Any discussion? Okay, and there's no action that we take on these. We'll move on them at a future meeting. Make sure I said it all. Okay. We are now moving to comments from the community on non-agenda items. Seeing none, we will move on to item 9, the superintendent's report.
All right. Can you believe it's October 1st? Can't believe it. It is my favorite month. Not just because, but October is National Principals Month, and I would like to honor our principals across the district. Had an opportunity to have their first deputy principal and assistant principal meeting this morning, and just to hear the continuity of how they felt that this year's, the word that most of them used was smooth. The other thing is aligned, and that structurally things are becoming more and more aligned. So all of those things are happening. I just want to thank them for all that they do to support our schools. And we heard from Patrick today, this is a village. It's like a mini city. It's like 17 plus cities that are running with electricity, water, with sewer, with food every day, transportation, safety and security, our paraprofessionals, all of the people that make the main office work, all of the pieces. And we have been going not
a full month yet. 3.5 weeks. And I just want to thank each and every staff member for making Peninsula Schools an amazing place for children. Today I had an opportunity, thank you for kicking me out of the office, and telling me to go and see kids. It was TK's first day. And so had an opportunity in the afternoon to go out and see. I was at Voyager and Discovery. Discovery has 2 TKs and Voyager has 1. But they're so little. Some of them are so small. And they were out at recess, and I was just struck by the fact that this is their first recess ever. Like, it's their first day, their first recess, their first lunch, their first. And there was a little boy that fell asleep. I shouldn't say this, but there was a little boy that fell asleep, and then he got woken up and he went out to afternoon recess. And this is their second recess. And he was in line and he was just crying. You could see he was so tired, but he wasn't fussing. He just had tears running down his face because it was a long day. And they were all in lines. You know, it's like herding cats, especially, over the first month. And I just was struck. Like, I'm getting a little teary myself. It's been a long day for me. I need a nap. But the things that we are doing with children, that starting place, and then where they are with the seniors. One of the schools had all the 5th grade kids. They had little signs, and they were like, "Welcome, TK." And they had all of the kids coming in and the families. And that's what we have to continually remember, that we have amazing staff in Peninsula Schools, whatever they do, whatever their role is, and we make a difference for kids each and every day. So it is an honor and a pleasure. It is really, we get to witness and bear witness of this amazing journey that our families are in partnership with us. And so anyway, I also have one of my grandsons started TK about a week ago, and I saw him after that first week, and you could see he was a little boy. He's ready for school. He's talking about school. And so we are preparing that next generation, and I'm so proud of all of our staff. So, wow. That's that. One last thing. I did want to just say that our Purple Star website is up and going. I know tomorrow we have our first MCEC, right? MCEC? MIC3, but Military Children Compact, yes. But our Purple Star website, and I want to thank Bunky for that. Yeah. She really is spearheading that. But make sure that our military families know that we are a Purple Star district. So that's the only last thing. And with that, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting me talk a little longer.
Oh, no, those cute kids. Okay, that takes us to board discussion and comments. So, I think we started with you last time, yes? We start down here? You want to start down?
I have nothing.
Okay.
Really? No shop class?
I'll go quick. And just piggybacking off of Creston, the village, I always have a special place in my heart for maintenance, grounds, custodians, and warehouse appreciation, just because, I mean, you think about how much work goes into a house, now just scale that up orders of magnitude. And, and run it how many hours a day. It's just incredible, the work that you and your team do. So thank you, Patrick. Extend our gratitude to your whole team. It really is impressive. And kind of in the theme of, amazing staff, there also are a lot of amazing community members who come alongside we saw the PTA donations and things like that. So I just wanted to extend an invitation tomorrow night from 5 to 7 p.m. if there are families and community members out there who are interested in being more involved in supporting this district. The Peninsula Schools Education Foundation is having a mixer at Heritage Distilling Company from 5 to 7 p.m. And it's really an opportunity for this organization they've undergone a really comprehensive strategic planning over the last year. I think a lot of you may have stopped in to witness some of that. And they have a new executive director. And it's just, she's so full of energy and so full of passion to really take this organization and harness the power of our community and focus it at our schools and how it can have a bigger impact. So I would encourage our community, stop by 5 to 7 p.m., get to know Jesse Alfred, say hi and see what opportunities are out there because it's really exciting.
What's the ED's name?
Jesse Alfred,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, and that's all I have.
You were on such a good thing about TK, so positive, but maybe next school board meeting, if you could just touch about the other stuff we learned about TK, just a little, the impact. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer tonight, so just maybe next time. It's also Dyslexia Awareness Month this month, and I'm really happy about the work that we've started in our school district around literacy and dyslexia. So maybe at sometime in October, we could just get a quick high-level overview on progress we're making in that area. And other than that, it's only been a week, and so nothing more to add other than that, so.
David, so today I had a conversation. We are halfway through our first pilot.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Good.
Is that not true? Is that true? Okay. I wanted to make sure. I thought, oh, yes, in elementary, in elementary.
Can't complain about that timeliness. Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
great job.
Just one more thing I wanted to add that I appreciated about the long-range facilities advisory meeting last night. In addition to what Natalie was saying, the approach I appreciated, but also the community is well represented in this group in that there are many persons that work for the district, but there are also community members and parents, and I appreciated that they represent a wide range of taxpayers and in different phases of life experience. So some are new to the community, some are longtime community members, some are retired, some are parents of young children, and I think that didn't really occur to me until you sit and listen to them offer their input, just how valuable that is. Things that will be well received by certain segments of the community and needs that, because when you're in it, you always think, everyone knows there's no lights in my classroom, but if you're at another building or another, you don't know that. So that was fascinating and I appreciated that. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I will keep it brief. I had the opportunity to attend the KP Farm Tour this weekend. I've never been to that, and I saw that Creviston Farms was on there, so I really wanted to go check them out. That's a group that we've partnered with through Food Backpacks for Kids, and I had some time to sit and talk with Michelle, who's the director of Food Backpacks, and this is under the category of unintended consequences. We were talking about Fishbowl and how much we appreciated the stadium and the use of that. However, the impact to Food Backpacks was significant. So last year, the Food Bowl during that time brought in over 40,000 items of food, which stocks their shelves for 3 months. This year, at about 2,000 items, they are really, they're not able to make up that difference on their own or through just regular donations. So I committed to working with our student reps and maybe if you can with the ASBs about finding an alternate competition where we can maybe bring those foods in again over the winter. So I know that they would be appreciative of that. And otherwise, the farm looks amazing. So we were out there a few months ago with rain and chicken coop remnants and dogs jumping all over us, and it is beautiful. I mean, they've got vegetables growing, flowers growing. They've got the bees, they've got cows out there. Yeah, it's fantastic. So really fun to see that taking shape. And so with cows, we'll end on that and announce our next meeting will be here October 15th at 6:00 p.m. and we are adjourned at 6:48.